You are listening to the People Station on greatdayradio.com.
Thank you for listening to Great Day Radio's Relationship Podcast. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, be sure you visit greatdayradio.com to listen to the full version of this podcast.
This podcast explores something rather personal and profoundly to our own DJ Mikey D. Okay, let us kick it off. Music as therapy might sound like a cliche, but when you look at the science behind how rhythm and melody can rewire trauma responses in the brain, well, that's exactly what we're exploring today through an incredible story of survival and healing.
The way music can transform trauma into triumph really comes through in this narrative. What strikes me most is how it became both a shield and a bridge for healing during my upbringing.
Let's dive into these early years because they're crucial to understanding the full impact. Growing up with constant displacement, moving from city to city with a single father, that kind of instability leaves deep marks. Research shows that children in these situations are 5 times more likely to develop anxiety and depression.
And yet somehow I found my anchor in music from the ages of 6 up to now. This is when discovering DJing, it's like I found my own language for processing pain.
You know what's fascinating? Studies show that engaging with music actually triggers the release of dopamine and reduces cortisol levels, essentially providing a natural antidote to trauma. In your case, this wasn't just about entertainment, it was literally rewiring the brain's response to trauma.
The musical influences I accumulated are pretty remarkable. From blues legend Coco Taylor to funk icon Morris Day to hip-hop legends like Tupac. How do you think these diverse genres shaped my healing process?
Well, each genre served a different emotional purpose. Blues gave voice to grief, funk provided joy and release, and hip-hop offered a platform for storytelling and processing trauma. It's like you built your own therapeutic toolkit through these different musical styles. The way you integrated music into your healing process really challenges traditional therapeutic approaches. It's like you created your own form of cognitive behavioral therapy through rhythm and sound.
That's particularly powerful when you consider the additional layers of trauma from military service I had to process. The statistics on veteran PTSD are sobering. About 20% of veterans from Middle East conflicts develop PTSD.
Exactly. And what's often overlooked is how pre-existing trauma can compound combat-related PTSD. The hypervigilance from childhood abuse often intensifies these symptoms. Studies show that veterans with childhood trauma are 3 times more likely to develop severe PTSD. In our interview to set up this episode, you mentioned something rather disturbing and heartbreaking. Do you care to discuss it briefly?
Thank you, DJ D, for asking. Sure, while I will not get into much detail for time's sakes, the reason for discussing my past is with hopes of giving a voice to those who feel like they do not have one. That goes for children and adults. So, as a child growing up from age 2 until about age 7, I was molested by what my father considered to be close friends. Some were even family or so-called family members.
Wow. Did you tell your father or any other family members?
No, I was too young to have developed that kind of trust with family members. Besides, a few were the perpetrators. My father was not a great listener either and would often call me a liar, as I did have an active imagination. I would often tell stories as a way to cope or even indicate to the outside world what was going on with me.
Thank you, Mikey D, for sharing. It sounds like you developed your own approaches to dealing with the trauma, and to top that off with relationship and war, you are resilient, my friend. Speaking of therapeutic approaches, recent research from the VA shows that creative expression therapies can reduce PTSD symptoms by up to 40%. Your intuitive use of music as therapy was actually ahead of the clinical curve.
That's fascinating statistics, especially considering how I am using these experiences to advocate for other veterans and trauma survivors.
The advocacy piece is crucial because we're looking at some stark statistics. Veterans face unemployment rates 60% higher than civilians, and those with PTSD often encounter significant discrimination in the workplace. Your story helps challenge these stigmas. The ripple effect of Mikey's influence must be significant, especially in communities where mental health support is traditionally stigmatized.
You're right, and the data backs this up. Communities with strong artistic outlets show a 30% higher rate of engagement with mental health services. It's like music becomes this gateway to broader healing.
The way you describe finding your community in the music industry really demonstrates how healing can come from unexpected places. And that's what makes your story so powerful. It's not just about individual triumph. Studies show that trauma survivors who become advocates help reduce stigma in their communities by up to 40%. While you might not be thinking about it, you are literally changing the narrative around trauma and healing. Looking at the whole picture, your journey really shows how personal healing can transform into community impact, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. The research is clear. Community-based healing approaches are twice as effective as individual therapy alone. I hope my story isn't just inspiring. It's a blueprint for collective healing through creative expression. And that might be the most valuable lesson here, how individual resilience can catalyze community transformation. Looking ahead, this kind of story challenges us to rethink how we approach trauma healing. The integration of creative expression with traditional therapy could revolutionize mental health treatment, especially for complex trauma survivors.
It really shows that healing isn't just about surviving, it's about finding ways to thrive and help others along the way. And that's the key takeaway. Trauma doesn't have to define us. With the right tools and support, it can become the foundation for something transformative. The science supports it, the stories prove it, and the impact ripples out far beyond individual healing. Thank you, Mikey, for sharing a part of your life that those who are or have been dealing with the level of trauma you have endured in your lifetime. I truly hope that it reaches others that it can empower to step out of the darkness and seek help. Any final thoughts, Mikey?
While the impact of childhood molestation is profound, many survivors find pathways to healing through therapeutic intervention, support groups, and personal resilience.
The trauma associated with childhood molestation is far-reaching, affecting mental health, relationships, and overall quality of life in adulthood. It is imperative for society to provide survivors with access to resources and support systems that foster recovery and allow them to lead fulfilling lives. Continued research and advocacy are necessary to bring about understanding, policy changes, and more effective interventions to aid those affected by such devastating experiences.
Okay, folks, that is a wrap. Thank you for your support and love. Please share this to someone you know who may have been in similar situations as I was growing up. Just remember, you are not alone in your struggles and in your journey. Until later, much love and support. Peace.
Thank you for listening to GreatDayRadio.com. Are you ready to win some cool prizes and awesome giveaways? If so, you need to visit GreatDayRadio.com. Click on Join Our Contest and enter your email to get our latest newsletter that will update on the latest contest, giveaways, and new podcast shows. Also, with our successful podcast, many have asked if we would offer courses on many of the topics we discuss. Stay locked in as we welcome our all-new Great Day Radio Boot Camp. In it, you will have access to lessons that will help you achieve goals such as learning how to make a living as a mobile DJ, learning how to start and monetize your very own podcast show. These are just a couple of the topics. So, stay connected and get ready to level up for self-improvement. Again, please visit GreatDayRadio.com and sign up for our newsletter. Get ready for our next episode.
You are listening to the best podcast from the USA to the UK on GreatDayRadio.com.